another episode of Overshot, a paintball podcast. Before I introduce you guys to our guest, I got to tell you quick about Daizana Sports. They are makers of the SF joggers, the Grind Air gloves. They just got version 2 joggers out with a bunch of cool new patterns. So definitely go to their website, check them out. You know, jerseys, whatever you need, hit them up for all your custom apparels. We got the shirt that I'm wearing right now through them. So definitely hit them up for all your needs and anything at the website. You use code OVERSHOT when you check out. You'll save 10% off your entire order, not one item, the whole thing. So definitely go do that. It's super worth your money. We know when you guys have been using the code, so we know a bunch have. So thank you for your support. And also, I got to tell you about Volcano. They make the new backpacks that you guys see everywhere. They're not like a big gear bag. They're the nice in-between size. They still got plenty of room, but definitely go to their website, check them out. They got new t-shirts. I know they're coming out with new products soon, even though right now they just have the bags. But use code OVERSHOT10 there, and their website is volcanousa.com. And before I get started with, I guess I got to mention one of our fans made this awesome sheet metal Overshot thing. Ralph and I both know him. I'm about to introduce him in a sec, but his name is Brian, and I'm going to show him some love. If you go to his Instagram, it's WG_Panther. And if you want something like this, you know, made up, definitely go hit him up. He's a cool guy. I've known him for a little bit now. And yeah, if you need anything like this made up, go there, hit him up, and send him a follow. He's always posting pictures of him playing paintball. He plays airsoft and his work, so he's a cool follow. But now I want to introduce to Ralph, a good friend of mine. He's been playing paintball for, what would we say, 30 years?
Yeah, 30 years.
30 years. So, Ralph, thanks for coming and welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, it's my pleasure for being here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course, of course. So we're going to kick it off, you know, the Carl Markowski way. How did paintball find you? It was a long time ago. Was it like an ad you saw or?
Actually, yeah. So I first became aware of paintball when I was about six or 7 years old. Still too early, too young to play. But I can remember being in Modell's Sporting Goods. I think they're all out of business now.
Dick's rules everything now.
Dick's rules everything now. And I was there picking out a baseball glove for Little League. And we were waiting online, and I saw my first issue of APG. And I picked it up, and I was like, kind of at that moment, I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to play baseball. And I went through, all the different sports, football, wrestling, baseball, and all that.
Yeah, you ran the gauntlet.
Yeah, of course. And it was paintball. I want to say I was 10 when I first started playing.
Yeah, it's like the minimum age.
Well, and it may have been even a little bit earlier, because back in the day, I was I made friends with the owner of the field's son, who's also young. So
you guys got to play a little.
Yeah, the rules got bent here and there.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that kind of started it off.
So you just like walk on play there?
I walked on twice, and then Paul Kecker, Pac-Man from the Wild Geese, the oldest paintball team in the country, was founded in '82. Had a son, Brian,
right,
who was a year younger than me, and we hit it off.
Yeah.
We were about the same age.
That's wild. So you know Kecker for?
I dare say he's probably one of my longest running friends.
That's wild.
Yeah. And I was kind of adopted by Paul and the Wild Geese, probably at 11, because my first year at 10 was a little, I was late in the season. I only played a couple times. I only rented once. And then for Christmas, I got my first paintball gun, which was a SL68.
Oh, wow.
And that was an interesting... it was just it wasn't a rental. It was just a it was a pump gun. That's what everybody played with back then. So, yeah. And then shortly after that, the addiction became something even crazier.
Right.
And I blame my dad for it, because right now, I'm sure we'll talk about the traveling paintball museum.
Yeah.
But the next year, for Christmas, he bought me. It was a semi-auto. I think it was a Spider that just came out, and he bought me a PGP.
Oh wow!
So yeah, well, my parents saw that I really
Like this.
enjoyed doing
Yeah,
this. And all other sports, I was a fat, chunky kid, so anything to get anything to get me moving was probably
the good right move.
the right move. But then it kind of broke me in the head because I was like, well, this was my paintball gun.
Yeah.
Now I have 3. I was like, you can own more than one paintball gun.
Yeah.
And now I'm...
Ooh, yeah. You're not Steve Casano, so don't worry.
believe it or not, we've compared collections.
Got to be close.
It's probably damn close. We're probably both just under 1,000.
That's insane.
Yeah.
People tell me I have a lot. I have like 10.
It gets to a point where it's just like, oh, what's another one?
Yeah.
It's my retirement. If you figure it, if you tally everything that I have, I probably have close to $750,000 in paintball equity.
Yeah. I mean, let alone the paintball museum. I'm sure you got some cool personal guns that you actually use.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, if it's functioning, I use it.
Yeah.
I don't believe in wall hangers. I mean, if you're familiar with the Carter Machine Desert Duck.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They're $3,500.
Yeah.
Aaron built
super rare gun.
Well, Aaron Carter, he built me mine when I was in my senior year of high school.
Okay.
Because I remember going out on my lunch break, calling him at Die, and just bullshitting and talking like that. I mean, we've known each other for quite some time, and when he was working at Die, he never. So he started out as Carter Machine.
Okay.
Built his custom guns, the termites and the buzzards and the comps and the ducks and stuff like that. And then he went to work as the lead machinist at Die in the late 90s, early 2000s. So he wasn't really doing his stuff so much anymore.
Right.
But, talking to him, he's like, hey, I found a Desert Duck grip frame, which is one of the harder pieces to produce.
Yeah.
He's like, you want me to build you one? And I was like, oh, yeah, hell,
absolutely.
But getting back to what I was originally saying was, it's not a wall hanger. It's scratched up. I've broken the feet off of it a few times. And gorilla glued it back on.
Yeah.
You gotta take them out. You gotta play with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These things are meant to be used as much as they are like kind of cool, and you don't want to like mess it up.
Absolutely. I mean, there were games where I wouldn't necessarily play with it because it didn't, it didn't fit in. But I would still wear it on my hip. It's like wearing a Rolex.
Yeah, 100%.
It's
No, like, I don't know. All this stuff is so cool. I'm like so new to the game, so like everything is so new. Like, I love shooting autococker. It's so new to me. Anytime I get the opportunity.
I love the reinsurgence of the mech world.
Oh.
It's made a lot of my shit relevant again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, back in the day, it used to be automags versus autocockers. That was the great debate.
Right.
Still never settled.
Still raging to this day.
Yeah. There's a lot of people, and I know who you are, who still believe that the automag is better. But well,
you're out there.
You're out there. You're out there. Yeah. So I mean,
they're fun to shoot, man.
It's as long as you're getting out. That's the thing.
That's the thing. It's like, get out and play too. I talk about it a lot on this program. Just like, to go out and play some paintball, especially right now. It's one of the safer things to do and stuff. Just go out and shoot.
I mean, you're wearing a mask.
You're
all
wearing
the time.
a mask anyway.
Yeah, and most fields don't allow bunkerings and stuff like that for open day play. So your close contact is really
super limited.
Super limited.
Yeah. But so back into your story, kind of.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm gonna trail off a couple times.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go down holes.
You're gonna have to be like. We're talking about that.
So you just got your like a couple things for Christmas because your parents rock, and so like, what kind of happened? Did you fall into scenario games playing with the geese? Did you like? I don't even know so much about your super pass. Have you played tournaments back then?
Oh boy. So, yes.
Okay.
And I very short-lived had my own tournament team, Wild Geese Gold. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Which was, in my opinion, what not to do with a tournament team. Now, at this time, we had a good roster. It was people coming off of Ground Zero. It was people coming off of a lot of the older teams when they disbanded.
Right.
So, at the time, I had my paintball company up and running. This is going back to circa, let's say 2001, 2002.
Okay. What was the name of your paintball company too?
Divine Craft Paintball.
Yeah, we were talking about it beforehand.
Yeah, it was me and Brian Kecker. The company ended, and we parted ways for a good amount of time. But that's just one of the things when you go into business with close friends, disagreements happen. But thankfully everything's back to where it should be.
None of those fights are real.
This one was pretty fucking real.
But like that's what I'm saying. You eventually make up.
Yeah.
So Waldo's on here right now. Like there are times we've definitely butted heads when it comes to like the future of this podcast and shit like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you gotta let it go because at the end of the day, you were like friends before and you'll be friends after.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, so I was. Right. So we
Tournament team.
Right.
Yeah.
Got a great roster together.
That one was my fault.
That's fine. Great roster going. We had our own edition Jenny Matrix specific for our team in a custom cheater pattern that I designed.
Cheetah? Yeah.
Cheater. Meaning it almost looked like speckle. It looked like splatter.
Yeah.
And it was the two most popular colored paints that were used at that time, which were blue and yellow. So when I'm telling you, if you couldn't even see a direct hit on your marker with this pattern, pissed a lot of people off. So long story short, we never played one game. We had gear sponsors, tank sponsors, marker sponsors,
everything lined up.
Paint sponsors. We had everything, but that's the problem. Nobody had to work for it.
Yeah.
And everybody just got such an ego that I just kind of threw my hands up with it, and I was like, well, guess what? Not anymore.
Yeah.
So, but I do have a 1 of 15 Wild Geese Gold Edition Matrix.
Yo, you got to bring that around sometime.
Definitely. Oh, for sure.
But like, no, that's too funny. The color paint. I was just thinking like, there's a dude on our team who has a pink hopper. Dude gets paint checked.
Oh yeah.
All the time. All the time.
I can imagine.
All the time. But so that's kind of funny. Who was on that team?
I don't want to say.
Okay.
The people who remember it will remember it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, cool. So what was the first game that you like game mastered? And if I just throw out a term that like nobody understands, what I mean by like game master is like Ralph, or I call him RJ. I'm never gonna be calling him Ralph. You're RJ to me forever.
That's
He comes up with all the rules for these games and what's worth the points and blah 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 blah. So like,
all right. So
how did that whole thing come about?
Little known fact about me is my first stint at college was for like stage crew, lighting, sound, set design, prop design, and stuff like that. So without wanting to completely waste that, back in high school, I always did lighting and sound for stage crew and stuff. So I always enjoyed the theatrics and the production value of things.
Right.
Which I realized translated into
pretty much
paintball scenario games.
Yeah.
So basically, what I would do is pick a theme, whether it be, let's say, alien invasion.
Right.
So then you would write a rough guideline of a plot of a story. And then you would go props. Like, okay, so if you're in an alien invasion, what kind of props are you going to have? So that I would make props like that. And then you would say, okay, well, if I only have 15 of these on the field, the point value is going to be this
X
level,
or whatever. Yeah.
Right. And then it just came very naturally to me. So there's different types of scenarios. There's a regular scenario game which is missions and such. Right. There's big games, which are not really scenario games. They're just
territory battles,
battles and props. And then you get role-playing scenario, where role-playing scenario is where you have specific characters with specific guidelines and missions and stuff like that.
Engineers, medic, etc.
Right, but it's easy to do military-style role-playing scenario because it's written in the government books. The characters are there already.
Right.
In 2001, it was my first role-playing scenario. I did at EMR, which was called.
I fucking love that field.
It's a great field. Yeah. We'll touch on that, I'm sure, in a bit. It was called Spaghetti Meatballs and Mayhem.
That's hysterical.
It was a 5-team role-playing scenario game. 5 teams being 5 different mafia families. So
that's so smart. That's such a good idea.
it was an interesting thing. And then the 6th team was the police FBI.
Yeah.
So it was a 6-team game, and I printed millions of dollars in fake money.
Mm-hmm.
What other props did I have? We actually, no, that was the second. The first one was Spaghetti Meatballs and Mayhem. The second one I did was Cappuccino Cannolis and Chaos. The first one I did with my partner at the time, Brian Kecker. The second one was after we split. I continued with the company after he left. I continued with the company for maybe about a year and a half, and then I just realized it wasn't right. So I just
Right.
But yeah, we had a lot of props for that. People dressed in pinstripe suits.
Yeah.
Women dressed as flappers, all playing paintball. So, and actually during intermission, sorry to admit this, I brought my accordion out and played in the parking lot. Yeah, I played the accordion.
Yeah, you gotta play the role.
You gotta, yeah, you live it. And actually, what was really neat about that game is all the money that was collected.
Mm-hmm.
The event, since it wasn't a territory game, I had every don from the mafia bosses. The determining factor of the winning of that game was a poker game at the end of the day. They all kept their money,
Yeah.
and they all hoarded it. And at the end of the day, I said, "All right, here's how we determine the winner of the game.
That's awesome.
Everybody plays poker." And yeah.
That's such a good idea.
Well, but you know what? Because it allowed them to focus on the paintball. It allowed on having fun.
Right.
And then, it was just get the props. We had gold bars and armored car. We had I think it was a Jeep that had to have been, that was a armored car that you had to hijack and take the gold bars out of the back. And we even had a replica of the Mona Lisa as
a prop?
stolen art. Yeah, we did so much for that game. It was crazy.
No, it's not. Even like up to today, like I would love to hear like what was like maybe like your favorite event that you put on.
Survival New York,
PSI
2004. The dates are sketchy.
Yeah.
The dates are sketchy. We did a zombie game when the whole zombie thing was popular. That one I had a lot of fun with the props because I actually had and it's so weird because we're in the COVID times now. I had the zombie.
We'll talk about it for a little bit, but the last one was brilliant. Your props, but anyway.
For which one?
The whatever. What just happened? The Bigfoot game. We're
God. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, so for the zombie game, I ordered a bunch of chemistry kits, and I had testing stations, and every player got a vial. Some of them, they were all clear, but I have a small knowledge of chemistry, so I was able to add specific things to them. So when they react with a catalyst, another clear solution, it would either turn
a certain color,
pink or blue, and pink infected, blue not. So that kind of
so sick.
That kind of separated the teams without really, because in the zombie apocalypse, your best friend could be a zombie. You don't really, So even though people wanted to stay together, the divvying of the teams was pretty much completely random.
That's awesome, though.
A lot of the teams, a few of the teams got pissed off. But I said, listen, guys, this is the game. Yeah. And I had little chemistry set stations, and I got to play with dry ice, and I dry ice and beakers with different things, bubbling over and this and that, and I had, through work, I was able to get small coolers, styrofoam coolers.
Yeah.
And I would just fill them with plastic body parts and just squirt blood in them. And we had syringes all over on the field.
Have you ever been pulled over on the way to one of these games?
Yes.
Sir, where you have a cooler full of body parts in the back of your car?
Well,
multiple.
You'd be surprised. The coolers weren't a problem. The Dark Ops props sometimes were a problem because I would use real PC boards. I would use, wired. I would solder wires. I would put, chemicals in tubes and this and that, and then put them in, a violin case or a trumpet case or a briefcase. And I got pulled over once coming across the Verrazano.
Okay.
And all I could think of was like, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I'm a terrorist.
I am a terrorist. I am going to be on the no-fly list. I was like, I'm done. But thankfully, as the officer was going through stuff, he found my paintball guns first. And I had a flyer with me. I said, if you're going to keep going, you're going to find some really sketchy shit. I'm just letting you know this is what I'm doing. It's props. I said, everything's inert. Nothing's real. But he was pretty cool about it, so it really didn't turn into anything. But it had me clenching for quite a bit.
Oh, I'm sure. So, like, not as intense, but, like, so we were, I think it was at our way to Dark House. My brother and I typically get a hotel the night before because we're bougie and we like to drive early. So we finally get to the hotel or whatever, and, like, we get a room, and I'm like...
I was there. I remember this.
When the cops were looking at my car?
Yes. I remember this.
I take, like, a jog to my car because we've been in the car for, like, 3 hours or whatever. Cop buzzing in the thing, 1,000 miles an hour, lights on, gets out, like, yo, what's going on here? I'm like, yo, nothing. I'm getting my bag from my car, and hey, this might be, it's finding obvious by the way I look, but I smoke weed, so they.
Why'd you start off with that?
Yeah, I know the way I look. It says that, so. But so he comes out. He's like, yo, what are you guys doing? I'm like, yo, listen, we just got here. Like, we're just, we're trying to get into our room. I just came to get my bag. So he's like, can we search your car? And I'm like, I don't want to say no. So I'm like, go ahead. Like, kind of had it hidden, like, good enough. But he sees my bag. He's like, what's in your bag? I'm like, oh, we play paintball. He goes, really? He's like, yo, can I see one of the guns? I was like, yeah. Guy was fucking around with our guns for like 10 minutes out the car. I almost died.
Trust me. This was at it was a Comfort Inn, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah.
The one that's like right down the block from Six Flags.
Yep.
I'm nearly certain that we were staying on the top floor, and I saw a bunch of that happening.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We were dying. Oh, like, funny story now because, nothing happened.
Yeah.
But the dude is like, I think my brother, like, a DM14, like, anniversary. And we're like, oh, this is like a one-of gun. He's like, really? He's like, what, there's only like 100 of these? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, that's so cool.
That's it. If you open that dialogue, it's there.
Yeah, long story short, nothing happened. They got in their cars and they left, and we carried on amongst the night. But boy,
that's
clenching moments.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, I was thinking that as soon as you said that, I'm like, you travel with some weird stuff in your car.
I do. I mean, and not just for paintball, just any weird. I'm a collector of shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wouldn't be uncommon to find a piece of taxidermy or the African spear in the back of my car.
Halloween is our holiday too at my house, so like there's plenty of times where I'm like, hey mom, someone was throwing away this Halloween prop at garage. She's like, yo, bring it to the house.
There you go. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, we're big Halloween. We do like a huge. We don't know if we're gonna do it this year because of. But typically we section off parts of our backyard and like we do like a whole thing and like I mean we've had hundreds of people come to like go through like our little like homemade haunted house.
Nice.
Some people don't even make it to the candy. They get fucking scared and they dip. I mean we've had urinations.
Oh, that's.
We've had the cops come because we did like a chainsaw without the chain one year and some kid was like, hey, the people, I'm not gonna say my address, but the people at this house have a chainsaw and they're chasing people. Cops roll off.
Yeah, but I mean, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more like, hey, now I can tell you got the cops come because it's some little
right.
bitch.
Yeah, you have like a little bingo card. All right, urination we got. All right, cops check.
Yep. Homemade haunted house. Cops come check.
Yep. There you go. It's all about the checklist.
It's all about the checklist. But I also want to know. So you put out these like crazy games. I know Waldo's done crazy stuff to try and break your rules. What's like the most insane thing you've caught someone doing to like break the rules at one of these games to get like a leg up? And you can name multiple things too if you want to. One of the props that I like to use is fake money. Yeah.
Just because it's cheap to produce.
Yeah.
One of my goals in a scenario game is flood the field with props so everybody
feels
can
like
pick
they're
something
playing.
Right, because if you're playing a game that has like three or four props to it, the little kid who's just playing doesn't get it.
Right.
Normally doesn't get it. But if I litter the field with fake money or antidotes or whatever,
right,
it engages them into the game to a point where they feel like they've done something more than just shoot people.
Right.
And you know, when you're that young, most of the time you're just shooting trees,
Hanging out in the back. Yeah.
shooting bunkers. Right. So I had people try to counterfeit my money, and that's when I started to date each bill with the game that was played. And in turn, people actually started collecting them. I've had people come back to me with, you know, a piece of paper from 15 years ago saying, "Oh, you remember this game?" And for continuity purposes, that's great because I modify it on Photoshop. It says, you know, what field, the date, and so it's
simple text, easy to change.
Right, 2 seconds, and then you got to staples, you photocopy them, sit there with a paper cutter for a couple hours, and. But yeah,
you got a couple $100,000 in fake game money.
Yeah, and again, it's the people started collecting them and holding on to them. I'm trying to think. Everybody, for the most part, is pretty good. I had people. People love to take props. That's what pisses me off the most. Like when I walk past somebody's car in the parking lot after the game,
and you see the prop,
and I'm like, okay, just lost another one.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. That's why I try to make them cost effective,
right,
but so also somewhat substantial.
Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna make you feel a little good that dude's like, hey, he wants to keep this.
Oh yeah, no. Listen, you're talking to Mr. Nostalgia here, so when it comes down to it, let him keep it.
Right.
During the second of the Mafia games, we actually cut out from plywood Tommy guns, and they were 3-dimensional. So the silhouette was of the Tommy gun,
right.
But then we cut out the drum mag and attached it, and I stained them, and I painted them, and I etched them on the side, and I didn't expect many of those to make it back. They were worth a lot of points, so that's the only reason.
Yeah.
And honestly, when somebody did return it for the points, I was just like, it's a souvenir, keep it.
Yeah.
And just to see their faces light up and so, yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
so that's my main goal.
Yeah, no, I know for sure. The one time I was kind of a part of trying to cheat, although it wasn't me. I was on Gorilla X at the time, and you had mannequins suspended from trees with a lock at the bottom, and you had to find a key or whatever.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out how to cut it down.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, again, stuff like that. But I would know then because it's not like I have a team of people who does this. I'm the one who goes out on the field 2 hours before and sets all the props up.
Right.
So I know where shit is. I know where. Yeah. I don't want to make this a challenge for anybody who's playing my games. Trust me, I'm not inviting you to do that, but it does happen.
Yeah.
And in reality, you're just ruining it for someone else.
Right. Right.
So that's I try to avoid having people do that.
No. Right.
Yeah.
You're ruining it for someone because I'm going to say right now, I have not been to a briefing for a big game in quite some time. It's really not my thing. I try and save that for, like you said, the younger players. I'm like, hey, I'm going to run as far as I can before I pass out.
Right.
And then hopefully some younger kid finds his prop that I ran past.
Right. But then I get, not saying you, but people like you, in the middle of the game as I'm doing everything. Oh, what am I supposed to do with this? Well, did you come to orientation?
Oh.
Nope.
See, I can't speak for me, but here's what I do. If I find a prop, I find somebody who has a rental gun. I say, here, kid, go hand this in.
Good. Then it ends up in his car.
Then it might end up in his car.
Yeah, it's all fun and games.
So I see some kids out there with a good time. I was at CT6, and I've never felt like, wow, apparently I'm a bitch moment. It was like, little kid, like, if this kid was 10 and able to play paintball, I was shocked. He took one, like, in the elbow, and I heard it. I was reffing. I was like, whap! And even I was like... I'm like, oh man, kid, are you all right? He's like, yeah, man, I'm cool. I'm like, cool. I guess I'm just a giant bitch because I would have been like, ooh, like you heard it. Smack.
Yeah. Actually, if you see my ring finger,
yeah, I was gonna say your finger's a little jacked up.
Yeah. So what that was during the dark days of tournament ball. This was somebody popping over the bunker, shooting me directly in the finger, and it just. The finger's not the same.
Yeah.
I mean, it was shattered. I get horrible arthritis in it. But what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
That's just part of the...
It's part of the rush, man.
Yeah,
like,
I played the rest of the day. You tape it to the next finger and you move on.
And you move on.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I've been stitched up quite a few times playing now. And it's not even like old school. Like, was also thinking about bringing back the old school because we were doing like a bunch of drills the other day. And what we're doing were like minute situational drills where like it was a 2-on-3, and he's like, you guys are down by a point. You have the 3. You have a minute to win this. And he's like, I'm gonna start bringing my gun on the field because you guys aren't going down the field, and I'm gonna shoot you if you're not like Bruno style.
Yeah, I mean, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, there was speaking of stitching people, there was maybe about a 3-year phase in my career where I only played with double barrel guns, and it would leave stitches.
Yeah.
It would literally just
That.
yeah. I had back at that time I was a pretty big Palmer's Pursuit Shop fanboy, and I got my first double barrel when I was 17 maybe, and then I got double barrel pumps, double barrel pistol, sidearms, and it kind of evolved from there.
Right.
But again, that was a phase. I've had so many phases, ridiculous phases.
Yeah.
When I first saw Boondock Saints, have you seen Boondock Saints?
Of course.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was that asshole who then went around playing with 6 pistols on a vest.
Silencers, of course, I hope, right?
They were airgun designed sidearms, so you really couldn't do much with them.
I'm too new. You couldn't modify shit like that really back then.
Yeah, well, the original silencers were really easy to make. I mean, all you needed was like an OG Smart Parts barrel, some green Scotch-Brite pads, and a piece of PVC pipe.
And you're good to go.
I used to make them and sell them in high school. I had a couple friends of mine who weren't in the same paintball circle as I was, but we went to the same high school. And one day on the field, they saw me playing with the silencer on my. It was a shoebox shocker.
Okay.
And they came up to me in school and they were like, where'd you get that? I was like, I made them. I think I was selling. Yeah. I think I was selling for like $40 a pop.
There you go.
Which really was nothing. It was $2 worth of materials and some hot glue.
Yeah. The sponge was probably the most expensive part.
For sure. Good times.
Yeah. Right.
We were on a trail. Where'd we go?
I don't know. We get off the trail so many times. I don't know. We get off the trail so many times.
That's gone.
So, Paintball Museum. How did that come about? You got this classic paintball museum.
How did it come about? So the museum that I currently have with Brian Kecker, and then depending on the event, we have special guests. Whenever I do the Midwest games, Chicago and so on, I'll usually get guys like Bill Bailey from Bailey's Battlefield to come in and cross this. Who else? There's been a couple.
Yeah.
There's been a couple.
I'm sure you
a
had
couple
the heavy
guests.
hitters come help you out, the Bud Orrs, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Well, believe it or not, Bud likes to come and hang out.
Yeah.
He'll bring a couple neat things, but nothing crazy. Dan Colby, Air America.
Right. If you don't know these people, Google them.
Yeah. Well, Dan Colby is Immortal Air now.
Right.
But originally
Airgun Designs.
Yeah. And everybody better fucking know who Bud Orr is. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Again, if you don't know, type it into the Google
something
machine.
you need to do.
There are probably, there's always new generations of. Think about it. I only played in 2015, and I know who Bud Orr is because I'm just like a student of the game, and I wanted to know. But if I just started playing in 2015, and the only person I know was Greg Hastings, you probably don't know who Bud Orr is.
I mean, it's definitely possible. It's probable.
So if you don't know, look him up.
Look him up. So the museum, it evolved from the original museum that I helped set up at EMR, which was a lot of donations and stuff like that. I mean, in the first display of that, I had maybe 20 guns of mine or so.
Where was it? You said your first display was EMR? The first time you kind of brought this out?
The EMR museum was a freestanding building. It was permanent. It existed in EMR. It was known as the EMR Museum.
Okay.
That was before I started displaying stuff on my own.
Okay.
When that museum closed is when I started to bring stuff places on my own because
for lack of a better term, you picked up the mantle.
Right. I wish I had people donating stuff to my museum. That's a lie. There have been a few,
Right.
little knickknacks and stuff like that.
Yeah, hey, hopefully try and build this up for you. If you see something you want to donate,
I don't need any more guns. I have.
Yeah.
I have storage units. I have basements. I still have shit in my parents' basement, and I haven't lived there in 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't need any more stuff.
Plus all the stuff Brian has.
Plus, right against. That's why our collections were good. We kind of complemented.
Yeah, one another.
Yeah. Oh God. As I'm saying to you, I don't need any more shit. I've got 10 guns from Portugal coming to me that I'm importing.
Wait, you guys bought them? I think I was on the low on this conversation.
I'm importing a bunch of them for.
We don't have to say out loud, but okay, I was talking to Dave and Kecker because I was reffing the CT6 tournament. So during lunch, there were discussions about someone. I think he said he had 15 of them.
It's got more than that.
He's got more?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And yeah. So yeah, there was discussions of them coming over. So that's happening? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, do the ends justify the means? I had to buy another gun from the guy just to make sure he was legit and vetted. Yeah. But it was something I was lacking from my collection anyway. Mm-hmm. So I got in touch with him. I was like, well, before we spend thousands of, before I send you thousands of dollars.
Of my money, yeah.
Right, I need to vet you. And so I said, what else do you have for sale? And found something else. It was a couple $100. I'm like, all right, I'll take that. Mm-hmm. I paid him. Everything was fine. We've developed a good working relationship.
Right.
But it's nice. I mean, I've got people in, the UK who I deal with. I've got people now in Portugal. I've dealt with, I have a guy in Slovenia. I'm not even sure where that is. But he came across a mini cocker in the same anno pattern that I have a full-size cocker, and it turns out that they were part of the serial numbers are so close that they were part of the same anno batch.
So you had to buy it.
I had to buy it. I mean, it was full shroud. It was black. It was royal blue with black and gold splash. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful cocker. Matching expansion chambers, matching it, done to the nines.
You had this on display, I think, right? Did you?
Yeah, I love posting those two together because they're literally Anno Batch brothers. A mini cocker and to find them, one I found in Texas, the other one I found in Slovenia.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, it's so wild. You see stuff all over the place.
And this guy from Portugal is good. These pistols are kind of weird. They're 62 caliber. They're more of a talking
conversation
point.
piece.
Yeah, although they do work. He sent me shooting videos of them. It's just something different. Yeah. And again, when you have as much as people like me and Steve and Brian do,
right?
It's like, okay, what's another one? Just okay. It's from Portugal. Oh, good, great, bring it.
I hope to get there one day. My collection's small, but it grows every couple months. It's a sickness, man.
It's and it's an addiction.
Yeah.
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 At least it's not meth. I mean,
right? At least it's not meth. It probably costs more, but
it definitely costs more. It definitely costs more.
Yeah, I'm only 2 cockers deep. Grew up in the electronic age, so I got a decent amount of guns that take a battery. But I'm trying to grow my cocker collection. That's the really hard. And bro, every time the gawking group or whatever on Facebook is dangerous.
It is. It's. I don't want to say that the designs are getting stale because you get companies like Inception and
Free Flow's
coming out with a couple interesting ones.
The Caliber and the Cole Cocker and stuff. And
yeah, I actually just saw pictures of the Caliber today.
Right, is that the new one? They're coming out with another one,
right?
Darcy's
posted it.
I think Darcy got one, right? The purple one, right?
Purple one, yeah.
I think it is a Caliber.
I'm pretty sure it is because I quickly scrolled and I was like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. I mean, if you.
They're nice guns. I shot the Cole Cocker because Richie Martinez got one.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh yeah, I saw his is a slate gray or something like that.
Yeah, it's like off-white or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Again, you see them all. I mean, again, I've known Richie for 20 plus years, so.
Yeah, I've only known him for 5. You trump me.
It's not a contest. I was the the annoying kid who literally annoyed everybody at the field. I mean, his wife Allie used to work at the field.
Yeah.
It's what it is. It's the paintball community and the paintball family is unlike other,
especially on Long Island.
Other sports, especially
it's so
on Long
small.
Island. Yeah, it's small and it's very tight knit.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it's like the mafia, but once you're in, you're in.
You're kind of in.
Yeah, people try to leave. No.
Yep.
Doesn't happen. You can take a break.
Right.
You can take a sabbatical, but you really don't leave.
Right. That's what I was talking about, like the young dudes on on the Overshot team. You know, some of them are kind of young, and I'm just like, hey, listen, dude. The most important thing is like, even I've been playing for not a long time, like whatever is my 5th or 6th year playing. I've seen people come and go. Like, if you want to be halfway decent, you just got to keep playing.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't even have to be halfway decent. I mean, if you're playing on a tournament, yeah, absolutely. But on a recreational level,
no,
who cares?
You know, it depends on your fancy.
Yeah,
like maybe you're just cool and like you said, going out scenarios every once in a while. And if you shoot a guy, cool. But I'm just saying, if you're the guy that's like, hey, I kind of want to be like kind of good, like I want to go and like mess people up. I mean, you got to play a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the paintball field is kind of like the culinary field, which is my area of expertise. It's out of. You could probably use the same analogy. Out of like,
I'm gonna say it's almost like I revert like everything almost back to like paintball, like life in general. It all kind of weaves away.
Yeah, it's one of those things like people who go to culinary school, statistically, 93% of them never have a career in the culinary field.
Yeah,
that's a big number.
Yeah,
and that's just like out of all paintball players, 93%. Never become famous or never become a tournament player or something like that. So it's
same numbers.
Right, but unless you're shooting, you won't get good. Unless you're cooking, you're not going to get good.
Right, that's same thing. Right, if you cook like 3 times a year, you can't expect to be throwing out bomb dishes.
Right,
it's just not going to happen.
Right, but that doesn't mean you can't fuck around in the kitchen.
Right, exactly. Doesn't mean you can't go to big game and shoot.
Right. I mean, we still have some people who are only 2 or 3 times a year players.
Right.
Which is fine. It's if they didn't have a team to come to, they probably wouldn't even come out and play that much.
Right. No, 100%.
So
100%.
That's it keeps them engaged.
Oh, for sure. So this just got me thinking. So like one of the things that we talk about a lot is like, what do you think the big disconnect is between a dude that plays like that birthday party or maybe plays walk-on for the first time and then him kind of coming back? Because one of the big things about this podcast, I hope I break, is like that, like, say little Timmy comes to play his birthday, right? Mm-hmm. Little Timmy has a great time, but like, why isn't Timmy coming back?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I guess a couple of reasons. I definitely could be little Timmy's parents. I mean,
for
you
sure.
You go to a birthday party. I mean, in the very beginning of it, my parents weren't great with it. Mm-hmm. Little Timmy can just be a bitch. That's that's. But like you said, if there's a team that may draw them back, financial. I mean, we play one of the most expensive sports out there.
Expensive sports and broke as shit all the time.
And exactly, and broken shit all the time. Not everybody can maintain that lifestyle. Uh-huh. We'll keep calling him Timmy. Yeah. Plays Little League. He buys a glove that lasts him a couple years. It's not like Timmy buys 5 or 6 gloves.
Right.
I mean, maybe baseball bats, different weights and stuff. I don't know it, but you're not talking about dumping $1,000 and then another $1,000 when a new gun comes out, right? And then another $1,000, and then
that's why I love the EMAC. I think the EMAC is maybe one of the greatest things that ever happened to paintball.
Yeah.
Like honestly.
Oh, it brought affordability, reliability, and again that whole genre back to the front lines.
Yeah, and not spending other companies' money, but like I think it should be the rental gun. Like I'm spending other people's money, but I honestly think it should. And I know financial reasons aside, let's just say you had the money. I think that'd be so good for paintball because it's such a good shot. You know what I mean? And we all know when you rent that gun, it's not the great.
Yeah.
We literally can't even compare the Shot 98 custom on an EMAC. We can't. And I just feel like if he had if his paint shot a little straighter, like he might have a little bit of a better time, and it might cause him to come back. What are your thoughts on that? And I know I'm spending other people's money, so it's easy for me to say that.
I could see it as a factor, but then you go to places like Cousins that do have rental upgrades.
Right.
I mean, you can.
You can,
What
right.
were they doing an axe for a while?
I think so. Man, I wish I knew more about the rental package there. They do have.
I want to say.
I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, I know. I want to say that they have like a sharpshooter package or something like that,
Right.
where you can upgrade to something electronic with an electronic hopper, and
Right.
but it's good to get a taste of that.
Right. But so you could still do like a shake and shoot hopper on an EMAC and it'd still work.
Oh yeah, oh sure. And I mean, anybody of that new style or just starting to play, they're not going to be able to pull the trigger fast enough
anyway.
yeah.
Right. For the battery to matter in the hopper.
Right.
100%. But yeah, I just think that I don't know, because that's like the big disconnect is like, yeah, we play all the time because we love it. That's great. You don't need to market to us. You already got me. I'm already in. I'm already in.
Right.
But because I want to see the sport grow, so I'm just like, how does that kid come back more? That's what I'm thinking in my head.
Right. Well, there's so many different styles of playing and different types of players and stuff like that. I mean, one of the things that I do with my museum is I will literally just if it's functioning, literally take the gun off the wall and give it to somebody to play.
Hell yeah, that's such a good idea.
If that's the thing that happens, again, there are always exceptions with some of the more expensive markers.
Right.
But I usually, let's say it's a RT Automag or something like that.
Right.
I'll be like, oh no, but I have this one. It's pretty much the same. You can try, and it gives them a feel for it. But
so you make sure he enjoyed the experience.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's how you grow the sport.
No, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
That's why, if I'm playing open or something and I get shot out, because sometimes it's like, bro, I'm gonna run to their 40 off break, and I get clapped up in the face. I'll be like, yo, this has got a rental. I'm like, yo, here, use my gun for the rest of the game.
Oh sure, yeah, I've definitely done stuff like that.
And hopefully that kid comes back.
Yeah, again, it's about making an impact and wanting them to continue with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Another big thing I want to see come back too is I'm not gonna call out any fields because it's pretty much every field I've been to doesn't do this, but I like pro posters. I love when so the guy behind the curtain, Rob, right now running our session, love Rob. But when I told him, I was like, yeah, I'll play tournament paintball. I travel all over the country and compete at one of the highest levels. He was like, dude, get the fuck out of here. He's like, bro, that's so cool. It's like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And most of the kids who come for Timmy's birthday party don't know that's a thing.
Right. Oh, so you're saying what the old school marketing stuff?
Right.
It takes money to make money. I mean, stuff like that.
I just stuff like that is super simple and that could just even cause intrigue. A paper poster what costs the field
right, because
$4, but
right.
little Timmy comes and sees Ryan Greenspan with his beautiful tan and his chiseled arms and his beautiful face.
Yeah, I never really looked at it like that, but every sport. I mean, not that I ever had posters of Michael Jordan in my bedroom, but I come from that generation where I had the posters of the Small Parts Girls. I had the posters of Aftershock.
Dude, my brother has a poster in his room still of Greg Hastings from when he was general of big game when it was at the Quorum Field or some shit like that.
I started running Quorum big games in '98, and I've pretty much run every one since.
Yeah, my brother was born in '92. Don't think he was at that game.
I would say not. Interesting.
But that's something to me because a big thing of I'm trying to do with the podcast, everything is just make paintball bigger.
Because people love swag. That's what it could be. A poster. It could be a wristband. It could be like a playbill. I used to do playbills for my scenario games because not everybody has a room for a poster and this and that. But a card about this big. A mini version of the poster.
Right.
And people used to love them, and then people still, collect them and stuff like that.
Dude, all that dumb stuff. Stickers.
Yeah. Well, and I got that idea from the music industry because I have a pretty large collection of hippie era handbills. From
sick.
Neil Young concerts.
That's
and
sick, though.
Janis Joplin, and and they're all mini. Concert posters.
No, I grew up on that stuff. My dad was big in that era. So when I was listening, I listened to Dylan, Joplin, all that kind of stuff was what my dad played.
Yeah. This chair's getting a little funky. I'm going to see if I can spin it around a bit.
Hit it the reverse.
Okay, there we go. That's better.
I hit it the reverse.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm just trying to grow the sport to because back then, it was big or whatever. And I lost my train of thought for a sec, but I don't. I just want like a little bit. If I could make like a little footprint and make it a little better,
Yeah, absolutely.
like to me that's so huge because I'm sure you get this too. Like when people talk about, oh, like what do you do in your free time? Like, I'll play paintball. Like, oh, really? Like that's pretty cool. But they don't really like know it exists, you know. And I'm like, well,
I think a lot of people
you should know.
I think a lot of people are aware that it exists, but they just don't realize word travels slow.
Right.
So back when we used to play in the woods and play Army Man, nobody knew what paintball was.
Right.
Now, when you say paintball, people are like, "Oh, you go in the woods and play Army Man."
Right.
So there's like that gap.
That's what I'm saying. There's a gap there.
And they don't realize, in 10 years, then they're going to realize, well, no, because it was televised. A lot of that stuff was televised.
Right. I know everyone says like, this is another I hope we don't go down the road, but like everyone's like, oh, dude, it's got to be on TV to be successful.
Listen, the internet, what you're doing with podcasts and internet viewing, I haven't turned my cable box on in months.
Dude, I got rid of cable.
I watch stuff on Netflix. I watch videos on my iPad.
Right.
That's it.
I was like, for what I'm paying in cable, I could just pay for Hulu and pay for Netflix, and then
absolutely.
I have everything. Pretty much. I already have Amazon Prime because I like the shipping. So
I'm one of their. I drink in Prime all the time. It's absolutely. It's like Christmas.
Yeah.
I come home almost every day. There's something on the front doorstep. I'm like, what did drunk me buy over me today?
Oh boy.
I was like, oh boy. Yeah. And I lose track of it, which is great.
Right.
So, but anyway, we're
again, whoop, whoop. But yeah, it doesn't have to be on TV. It doesn't have to be on ESPN for paintball to be popular. Like, there's really nothing wrong with Go Sports. Like, bro, it's $10 fucking dollars. Like, like you're really gonna be and with that $10, dude, like they got a cable cam. They're improving. Like, that's awesome to have that view. It makes it way more palatable. Because one of the other, like, I think big hurdles is, like, trying to explain to people that have never played paint before what's going on when they watch tournament. Because the only thing that's videoed on that level, because, I mean, you can't, there's no way you could video a woods game to have, like, that. You need so many cameras.
Yeah.
So the only thing that's going to be out there is tournament paintball. And at least they're trying to make it more palatable. But, like, people don't understand, like, if I were to just show Rob right now a game, he would be like, yo, I have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Right, but you know what? In the same breath, I don't watch soccer. I see guys kicking a ball back and forth.
Right.
But what is soccer doing to engage me to make me want to learn that? Nothing, honestly.
Right. But I feel like when you watch those big sports, like they kind of like explain a lot.
Well, because
I compare it to a little bit of football. Like I'll play habits on football.
Yeah, but if you watch a televised paintball game and there's an announcer, that makes a world of difference.
Oh yeah,
because then he's actually telling you what's going on.
Right.
And I started going to see a friend of mine. She does roller derby.
Mm-hmm.
And
April.
Angie.
Oh okay.
Yeah. April does roller derby. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I started getting addicted to it.
Yeah.
And it took me maybe 2 or 3 times going to understand, exactly what was going on and this and that. But I eventually did. But so I guess what I'm saying is you got to find that what that draw is, and then focus on that.
Right.
If you want to try and grow the sport to in that respect.
Right. We got to find that like thing that's going to engage them for that 5 minute to 5 minutes, and then they'll probably stick around.
Right. Yeah.
Especially on like the internet or on your phone. If you're flipping through Facebook and you've watched something for more than 30 seconds, you're probably going to watch it to the end as long as it's not like 6 hours,
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
So, yeah. And the cable cam is part of that. And again, we don't have answers. We're just kind of spitballing and just talking this shit. But I do want it to be great because like the stuff we do is kind of cool, man. Like the war stories you get from paintball like are pretty sick. Like I'm not going to go into like all the cool shit I've done at big games, but a quick 5-second story is it's probably like 3 or 4 years ago. It was a big game when I was out at Calverton, and we're up. I guess they call that oil refinery, the top area. Mm-hmm. And I crawled the tape, and there was like kind of like an old hill because it used to be a golf course. At the bottom of the hill was about 50 dudes from the enemy team who had no idea I was there, and I shot the shit out of all of them, and that was fucking amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are some guys who play team wise and run with guys, but then what you do is I call that going hunting.
Yeah.
You could be in the middle of the woods by yourself for a good 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But then as soon as that, group of guys walks past you, they don't see you, and you can take all of them out. That's what makes that weight worth it.
Yeah, I call him with Julio because that's our code. And in airball, when you're by yourself, you always talk to Julio because you're never by yourself. Julio's always next to you. So that's when I say, I'm like, yo, I'm going with Julio. Because I'm going by myself. But yeah, I love that shit. And I want to share those people's stories. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I mean,
I don't give a shit about my own per se, but like, we did a couple of these at Bigfoot or whatever, and literally this kid saw like our little Overshot tent, came over, and we started talking about paintball, about him playing. He's like, yeah, I went to one of these cubes and shot some dudes, and I think that like sharing those stories will hopefully like grow it a little bit, you know?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, and I know that what I do is fairly specific and not the target audience that what you guys go for. But it's something different. I mean, listen, if this turns out well and people like this,
right,
and they want to see some of the older stuff, I'm very local. I mean, we can do, every other month, once a month, once every 4 months, and I'll bring in gear, and I'll go over some of the backstories on some of the one-off pieces I have, some of the custom stuff.
No, dude, that'd be sick. Like, yeah, dude, we should do a monthly little segment. I don't want to sign you up for a little too much, but. Yeah, dude, slide in our DMs. Tell me, like, what guns you want Tim to check out, and we'll bring some guns, and we'll talk about, maybe the history of the gun and stuff like that. I think that would actually be a sick idea.
Yeah, I mean, even if you find pictures of stuff on the internet,
yeah,
and they send them to you, I probably have one or something damn near close to it.
Right.
I want to say that my collecting stopped. Well, it didn't really stop, but I'm saying, like, my cutoff point was Angel IR series.
Yeah.
So I have anything after that. I mean, I may have, but I don't have rare ones or collectible ones because it wasn't not really my forte.
Right. All right, cool, man. So, unfortunately, we're reaching to the end. We've been probably babbling for almost over an hour.
That's impressive.
So, but before we cut out, I always like you to give the opportunity. Anyone you want to thank who's helped you maybe in paintball, just anyone you want to shout out, now is the time.
Yeah, I mean, my parents, for sure, for the support, the Wild Geese, my team,
Yeah, I'm trying to get some of those
owners.
guys to come in here, like Jack and...
I'll talk to them. We'll get them in.
Yeah. It was not to hijack your thing, but I love seeing Frank, and I got him to talk for like 2 minutes. I love him, man. I only see him like once a year though.
Oh yeah, he's a trip. He comes out to some of the other games, but he lives in, I think,
Queens or something, right? Yeah. But so keep shouting out.
Yeah, no, that's about it. I mean, all my friends and we could be here for another hour if I was going to list them all.
Yeah, right. And if you forgot anybody, like I said, we'll have to come back. Like, I like this whole monthly segment idea. It might have to be a thing. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank RJ for coming in. Thank Brian again for the sweet display. I'm going to try and bring this almost every time, but I'm not going to agree to that in case I forget it so I don't get destroyed on the internet. But I'm going to try and bring this out because it's cool. Thank Brian again. WG Panther. Check him out. And thank you guys for tuning in. I love you all.